Hello and welcome back to the Vision Board Blueprints podcast, the podcast that gives you the blueprints to bring your dreams to reality. Today, I have a very special guest with us who is Liz, and Liz is the owner of Flamingo Car Finance. And we're going to be talking about dream cars and business success. Welcome, Liz.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm very, very excited to have you. And Liz personally helped me find my dream car. So I am going to let her share her knowledge with you guys so that you may be able to find your dream car too. So Liz, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners today?
Yeah, so Elizabeth McQuillan. So COVID was the time that we kind of co-created with my husband our car finance company. Before that, I was a teacher, 14 years I was a teacher. And listen, don't get me wrong, I loved it for the first maybe 5-7 years. And then the remainder of that time, I was just figuring out how the hell I was going to get out of that role. But people say to me, how did you go from being a teacher? And listen, I was a drama and English teacher. How did you go from doing that to then, finding dream cars for clients? And it is an absolute accidental career. I never I was never that 5-year-old girl saying, when I grow up, I'm going to sell cars. It was just never that. But how that did happen was that I met hubby sort of 8-9 years ago now, and he had the car dealership. And at the time I was a teacher, but he noticed that there was a little change in industry and in legislation whereby you could actually get finance from brokerages. So rather than having to have the finance kind of all completed at a dealership, so you was restricted to like the cars and the finance at that one dealership, you could actually do it independently. So he kind of said to me, right, I know you're a little bit crazy and you love scaling businesses, and because I had another business running at the time whilst I was a teacher, he said, come and do this with me and set up this brand new finance brokerage, and let's just see where it goes. And the rest is history.
And your brand definitely stands out from the crowd, and it's not your traditional broker finance brand. It is pink flamingos in your face, very, very girly. And that was exactly why I stayed like connected with you for so long, because it is there. You can't miss it. And you have done that incredibly well, Liz. So, hats off to you for doing that. You are standing out in that car industry. The industry that's very male dominated. So how have you been able to do that? What's the secret to that success?
That's a really good question. Okay. We're clearly always going to be friends. I mean, look at your hair. I mean, we could be sisters here. So COVID hit. Okay. It wasn't all gravy. It certainly wasn't easy. I'd planned to leave this 14-year long career at the end of April 2020. And at that time, I was leaving to jump into doing the cars. And we all know what happened March, April 2020. COVID hit. So I had plucked up my courage to go and hand in my notice. Equally, on that weekend that I was leaving school, I was flying to the Maldives so that was the Friday. On the Sunday, we were flying to the Maldives to get married on this beautiful wedding that hubby and I had been planning. Well, I say hubby and I, me, had been planning for 18 months. You know how it goes, girls. And literally 2 weeks before that, we got locked down. So at that point, life was horrific and I was unemployed. I couldn't go back to being a teacher because they'd already taken on somebody else under a new contract. So I was literally unemployed, like, oh my God, what do I do? And it was literally a sink or swim moment. At that time, ladies that have been in your audience for 4 years or so will know how it went, okay? Us onliners just came together. We really, really did. And I didn't really have an online business at that point, but the community that I found online, we met Lisa, I met so many other ladies from across the UK. We all came together and we all started really doing some quite hardcore networking because we had nothing else to do. Yeah. And because these were the only people we could talk to because we couldn't see our besties because you weren't allowed to meet anybody in person, were you? So what happened was I naturally gravitated towards women. Women were gravitating towards me. And whereas we started off as Car Finance 365, let me show you this, Lisa. This was the original branding.
Oh my God, that is
Oh.
like totally not you.
So it's blue and green, listeners, and it says Car Finance 365. That is still running. That website is still there. But I was kind of thinking, oh my God, I'm just not green and blue. And, the girls that I'm attracting girls.
Attracting the women. And you have to find your tribe, don't you? And your brand definitely attracts your tribe to you, And I remember, obviously, I was introduced to you through Helen McHugh, who said, she'd be really good, cars are really good for vision boards, you're going to have loads of connections together. And then I just seen your branding and I was like, oh, I like this lady. And then I just naturally followed you. I followed what you did. And then you had your daughter not long after. I think you were just about to have your daughter when I first came across yourself in the online space. And then you've just carried on flourishing since then. So, obviously you have flourished your car finance business. You are helping people like me get those cars that they really want off that vision board. And mine isn't quite the one I want yet, but it will be. Because it's so how do you do that? Like, what does that bring you joy?
I mean, it absolutely does bring me joy. It really, really does. It's definitely the women that I love helping, and I think there's a key theme in my life. It's always been about service. So to help people, and it doesn't matter what that is. Like when I was a teacher, I was helping children to grow and flourish and learn. When it came to this, I'm helping women. And it's an education piece as well, Lisa. It's like, I don't just say, okay, yeah, right, fill in this form, right, yeah, this is it now, let's go. No, it's like, okay, let's first of all look at what's going to be the right agreement for you, because not everybody wants the same agreement. The two obviouses are the PCP or the HP. Now, depending on your personal circumstances, I would kind of say, what about this or what about that? And you've got to make that decision. But I like to give you the bigger picture, and a lot of it is kind of what's the budget, and the budget really does help inform as to which agreement you would go to. So I always I pride myself on kind of demystifying all the finance jargon and empowering women with that knowledge to make ultimately that independent decision.
I know, so like me personally, it does, like it doesn't faze me, but I've worked in a bookies, which is very male or orientated. So going to a dealership and being around men and being dominated by men would not faze me. Whereas some women, that would faze them, and that would make them feel a little bit like intimidated, or they might sign up to something that isn't really right for them, but they've been told by somebody that is. So so you take that away from, you help people with that, and that's quite an important thing to be able to do. So it's really good that you found this very like niche in the market that no one else is doing. Really?
Well, it was me that, years ago, that was me. I would walk into the dealership with my high heels on, and it would literally be the meerkat, where they would go like this and they would look at you whilst they're drooling, rubbing their hands together, thinking
I'm going to get loads of money on this one. Yeah. And
I can remember that feeling. And it was only when I got with hubby, Phil, that he said, because he had the car dealership, he would say to me, so what are you doing with your 1 Series now? Because I had a BMW 1 Series. The funny thing was, Lisa, it was the second time I'd had the exact same car. And he said, why did you get the exact same car like years? Why did you do that? I said, well, I didn't have another choice. Couldn't do anything. And he was like, you do have choices. You know that? No, I am trapped now in this cycle. I've always got to go back to BMW. They'll give me a new car and they'll say, no, I can't get out of it. And he actually sat me down and went, so what we do, Liz, we sell your car, we pay off your finance, and then you are free to go anywhere. And I was like, is that even a thing? And he was like, yes.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's people who, if you don't know, do you, at the end of the day?
Exactly.
And having somebody there like yourself is so, it's so incredible. So I absolutely love what you do, but you don't just do this now, do you, Liz?
I don't know, because it scaled quite quickly, which was really, which was fabulous. It really, really was. And 2 years ago, I just released, just honestly, no strategy behind this. And I mean this, and now I am quite strategic, but it was just between Christmas and New Year, sent out a little message on stories, just saying, followers that have been following me, we're doing quite well now. Who would like to just come and sit and have a coffee or lunch with me, and I'll talk you through what I've done. And literally, boom, the DMs blew up. And off the back of that, I did my very first event, my very first experience, if you will, and that was in Lytham House. And I think we had about 20 ladies all sat around a table. I did a full day of, one of now my signature Flamingo business experiences. And it was then I thought, see, I love teaching. I always loved teaching. So rather than teaching the kids, why can I not help teach female entrepreneurs now, female business owners? It just made sense. And once you're trained to be a teacher, it doesn't matter what you're teaching. You have that structure.
Yeah, you have that mindset, don't you?
Absolutely. So that started. Flamingo Business was created. And then obviously you will have seen it went from events originally. Then we did the membership last year, which is our networking, our monthly networking. Then we came to do kind of like your VIP, your intensive days. And then we did a mastermind. We launched our first mastermind last summer. So again, it went from something quite little, but exploded quite quickly. And I think that's just me. I'm good at seeing a business idea and thinking, right, how do we scale this really quickly? But it's always about how can I make a positive impact, particularly upon females, be it, with the cars, helping them on that journey in the finance, but now also with business. And it's exciting because it's not industry specific for me. So I just say I love helping business in general. It doesn't matter whether you are a florist. In fact, I've just had a lady in today who is a florist. I've been helping her. The beauty, whatever industry, it doesn't matter. I think when you have the key components of how you can scale business, it is kind of universal. And so that's what we've been doing. And
not only can you help people with their dream cars, you can also help them achieve their dream business, which is absolutely incredible. And you also have just launched the franchise element of Flamingo Business franchise. So people can actually come talk to us a little bit about that, because obviously
So again, that is to do the whole scaling of the business, isn't it? So the car finance boomed. I thought I need to teach people how to scale business. I did that. And then I thought, hang on a minute, class me as a master franchise, I'm probably at sort of getting to full capacity. And then I thought, but I want to continue. How do we grow this? And the penny dropped. And I thought, it's the franchise model, actually. And interestingly, I don't know if you know this, but I franchised a previous business. So whilst I was whilst I was a teacher, I had children's theatre skills. So again, we'd opened one, we'd got full capacity, we opened another, we got to full capacity, and then we franchised. So that was something that I'd already done. So when I got to this kind of Flamingo business, right, I've got all my tiers running, I've got my membership, I've got this, I've got that, we're all gravy. How do I take this to the next level now? It was a no-brainer that it was the franchise model. So I've been busy working in the background, creating all the systems and the processes, everything that goes into it, which doesn't happen overnight, let me tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And interestingly, funny, I did tell this story on Friday, but my prospectus, I gave it my hubby on Friday morning, obviously when we had the big International Women's Day and the franchise launch, and he read it and he went,
"Is this what you've been working on?" That made me laugh. That did, yes.
I was like,
it's like, all those early mornings have been for something.
I know. It's like, this is
so you're an early morning person, I'm a late night person, so I do my and then when something happens, I'll be like, oh, is this what you've been working on at night? Yes,
we don't just get up and scroll our social medias. Now we are creating magic.
Yes. I absolutely love that.
No, I mean, the franchise model, it's just brilliant. It lends itself just to go far and wide. We were in talks with a couple of people over in Dubai. We had, in our pre-launch, we've had 2 ladies that are launching next week, which is just amazing. And obviously on the back of Friday, we've just had countless calls from all over, people across the UK, which is just great. So yeah, again, it's just kind of providing that support and that platform to help others grow. And I
So for
think
those that are obviously listening, like, if people want to come and find their dream car, they can come and contact you, can't they? That's pretty
absolutely.
straightforward to do. You know, you've got a vision on your vision board, want a price, see how much it's going to cost you. You just message Liz and you can get that. But if someone wants to really grow their business and, you know, have that business success, what would your 3 top tips be to that person?
For me, okay, straight away what comes to my mind, I always think, are you exhausting every route to market? Okay, because I'm a big believer of not leaving cash on the table, especially if you've got a community already. And there's so many of us across the UK that have communities. And I think it's time to, you know, you are doing such a fabulous job with these communities, but why are you not creating a recurring revenue from these people? So that is one of the, you know, one of the tiers with the franchise. I teach you how to create a successfully, you know, revenue driven platform with that. But then I always look at, okay, so different routes to market, and look at my business model. It's got the 4 tiers. So I've took on my role as being somebody that can support women in business and thought, okay, I don't just want one revenue stream. I want multiple revenue streams, because you've got to be creative in today's day and age. Yeah. And this came from me being in the finance world. I knew that I couldn't compete with the big boys, you know, your Car Finance 247s, your Zootos, you know, they were spending in excess of probably about 50 grand a month on advertising. And I just thought, you know what, I'm not here for all that lead, kind of buying leads and all that, because I tried it and they wouldn't even answer the phone. So I've got this lead, they want to call, they don't answer the phone. I'm like, I've just paid 15 quid for that lead and they don't even answer the phone. So I then had to think, how do I get creative with routes to market? And I think that is my big thing. So whatever business you've got, I'm like, okay, how do we get creative and look at routes to market that people aren't necessarily tapping into, but you're leaving cash on the table? How can we generate that into, you know, buying paid for clients?
Amazing.
I know that's not 3, but I think it's 1, but it's quite a big one.
Yeah. Have we got another one?
Do you know what? It's got to be visibility, hasn't it? And your bloody branding. Your branding.
Yes, branded. Yes.
Before you even enter a room, you know, I mean, I walk in anywhere with Pink and they'll go, you're definitely Flamingo. And I go, I am Flamingo. Yes.
Yeah. I think the branding is very much like, I think when you've got your branding, especially that color, that's very niche to you. I think people know, you know, will recognize you and, you know, associate you with that quite a lot. Because I get that with Pink as well, you know. So if I walk into a room and they go, oh, here she is, she's wearing pink, you know, like it's very much kind of a known. So if I turned up without pink, it'd be like, oh, you're not wearing pink today.
I know people don't get you though, and sometimes I'll because I used to be more blacks and creams, you know, and it was only when I became Flamingo that I thought I'm gonna have to wear more pinks, and that's fine because it totally resonated with me. But then when I'm trying to disappear a little bit, I'll just have my creams and my blacks back on, and I'm like, okay, I'm incognito now. But yeah, branding is huge. And interestingly though, Lisa, you'll completely resonate with this. I think on online businesses, certainly us back, you know, 4 years ago when COVID hit, we were all sticking together. Branding had always been a big thing for us onliners. Okay. Then I used to go to networking on my own, so face-to-face networking. And interestingly, nobody was really doing this wearing the branded colours. So I would walk into a room and, you know, pique attention, which, listen, didn't do me any harm. But then I'd have people going, oh, we've had to up our game since you started coming to this network, and we've put our branded colours on today. And I used to be like, oh no, you don't worry about it. It's just, and then I've started going, do you know, it's only a positive thing, isn't it? Yeah. And I'm authentically me. I can't not downgrade, but not wear what I would naturally want to wear to fit in. This is always going to be who I am.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. And I think even when you are starting out, I think having that very visibility around that color and really bringing that color out. And I'd say probably shouting the colour from the rooftop, like, own the colour, own the vision, own the message that you want to put out there. Because if you don't, then you're just playing yourself small as well, aren't you?
Exactly. You're playing safe. Nobody remembers you. You want to be remembered out of that room. If you've got 60 people, you want to be remembered because they're it's all about the power of the outreach afterwards. You're going to be remembered. So people are going to outreach to you, and that's how I scaled to quickly, part of it. Absolutely. Because people knew me and people, I remember going into a network and it was full of men. And even this guy came over and went, "Oh my God, I know who you are. I've seen you on your socials and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, wow, even the lads are noticing, okay.
Yeah.
But it was a positive thing, and he just said, "I think it's brilliant. People remember you straight away. That you walk in the room, they know you because you're pink, you flamingo." And even my husband gets called Mr. Flamingo now. It's hilarious.
That's brilliant. It's like, like obviously I've got the pink hair and stuff, but it's like, I haven't always had pink hair, but now that's what people remember me for having. So it's kind of like a bit hard to change it now.
Yeah, unless you just change your whole company branding.
No, that is definitely not going to happen.
Never.
So, Liz, how can people find you then if they wanted to come and learn more about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the two companies now. So if anybody is looking for that vision board car, my gosh, this was what lights me up completely. It would be the car finance. So it's www.flamingocarfinance.co.uk, or on social. So Instagram, it's just the usual @Flamingo Car Finance. And anybody that's looking at more of the business side, the business support, it's www.flamingobusiness.co.uk. And you can find out all about getting involved in how to be a Flamingo business member. And equally, if they want to know a little bit more about taking that next step and being a partner with me and getting one of the franchises, that's all on the website too.
Amazing. Right, before we go, I want you to leave the listeners with a golden nugget or a takeaway for business success.
Okay. Do you know what? Be bravely and boldly you. And if that can be unique, then brilliant. Okay. But always stay true to yourself. And if that is bright, bloody pink that you wear, then own it and be remembered.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been lovely to have you here. All your links, everything will be in the show notes. If anyone does want to go and check out Liz, then please check out the show notes and all those details will be there.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you for watching. This YouTube video has been produced and created by myself, Lisa Williams. Please do head over and check out my best-selling book, The Vision Board Blueprints.